Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Biters, the podcast that covers all things zombie and Walking Dead. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jeff Marsick, and with me is my other co-host and good friend, Kirk Manley.
Let's get on with this thing, man. The zombies.
Yeah, let's not.
Kicking, man.
Let's not belabor the point on this one. This is the one that we've been talking about. We've been looking forward to for since the beginning of the season. Episode 8, the series season 4 mid-break finale called
Walking
Too
Dead
Far
Money
Gone.
Shot.
Yeah. I just have one word. Tank!
Tank!
So,
man, I thought it was a great finale.
Before we get into this, let me just talk real quick about the numbers like I always do. I love reading about how the analysis of the numbers. You go to certain people like Forbes, and Forbes's headline is Walking Dead ratings disappoint just a little, and that's the only negatively tinged headline. Everybody else is like mid-season finale kills what needs killing, and EW has Walking Dead mid-season finale ratings big but not record breaking, but it's just you if you were only reading Forbes, you'd think, oh wow, they got crushed. So Walking Dead brought in another 12.1 million viewers, slightly down. The season 4 episode average is 13 million. But we started that first week off with 16, which pretty much just shot the moon right there.
The other thing is keep in mind that, a year ago for the season finale for season 3, they were screaming about how incredible 12 million was.
Right.
That was freaking unheard of. They never thought they'd get that. That was incredible. That was that was door blowing. Blah 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 blah. Now, that's not so bad. That's not so great.
Right. Right.
It's still freaking great. I think that's a reflection of the 2 governor episodes. I think they lost steam there. Whether you can make a case that it was the right thing to do based on, the quality of the finale. And this, in terms of the storytelling and the characterization, I think, but I think they were definitely, there was momentum that was derailed, and I suspect that is probably why you're not seeing a bigger number there. But that's just my guess.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. If you compare season over season, the ratings for season 3 mid-season were significantly lower than season 4, and then
what was season 3's mid-season?
Well, they have them in demo numbers, which I can never remember what the conversion is. But so season 3 they scored a 6.0, and in season 4 they scored, what was it, 7.7.
Wow.
So yeah, so it was a big move. But a couple other things is. According to Nielsen, The Walking Dead was the top TV show on Twitter with nearly 900,000 show-related tweets from...
I was going to say, I never watched a show on Twitter before.
From 390,000 authors. And I love all the analytics that they put into this. Walking Dead Twitter activity peaked at 9:48. Not 9:49. That would have been like too much. 47 too. And still, Walking Dead's the highest rated show on history of cable. But what the surprising thing is that the follow-on Talking Dead actually crushed it too. They had 6 million viewers.
Well, they had a great. I watched the Walking Dead, Talking Dead, and it was very good. But it was. I can understand why that happened because they had Kirkman on.
Oh, did they? Okay.
And then they had Herschel on, or Scott. I can't remember. Yeah, and then they had Maggie on.
Oh.
Yeah, so Maggie's got a lot of sex appeal. Kirkman, obviously, the founding father of the whole thing, and then the cast member that got taken out. So, I'm not surprised that people tuned in. I think also that there was a lot of this much love for this show, as much as everybody wanted to see this season finale. When it was over, there's this kind of knot in your stomach, like, oh, man, now I got to wait till February for more. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was like, well, let me watch the Talking Dead, because at least then I'll get another hour of of Walking Dead goodness. You know what I mean?
Then it's
So
not. Then it's not. 4,000 hours. It's just 3,999 hours until the next.
that's right.
I
Yeah,
like your
that's
logic
right.
there, Manly. Love the logic.
Yeah.
All right. So hold on a second. Did you drop a spoiler in there that a major character died?
Oh, well, listen, we don't need to clarify that.
No,
that
no.
we're gonna talk
I'm
about.
being
No, but you
facetious.
do every week. You clarify that we're going to talk about the show, and if you haven't seen the show, you're going to get spoiled. But at this point, it's like, my goodness, if you're tuning in to listen to this, we're talking about the show. You better have watched the show. If you haven't watched the show, then you take responsibility for your own spoilage, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. So
Oh man, I thought it was great. I thought it was great. I thought it was better than The Farm getting overrun in season 2, which was, to this point, for me, the best mid-season finale so far. The mid-season, that one was awesome. The Farm getting overrun it was the sequence where it gets overrun that was awesome, more than the rest of that episode. Whereas the whole episode was really strong. I gave it 4.75 headshots.
4.75.
That's right. Almost perfect.
He's going to 2 decimal places, people. I mean, this guy's.
That's right, man. We're going right as close as we could go. I haven't seen perfect yet, because there were a few little things that I would nitpick, but so it couldn't get a perfect score. But man, it was damn close.
All right. Well, let's start off with your good.
My good. Oh man, I got a ton. It totally delivered on the promise.
We only have an hour. Okay?
Yeah, I should be able to do that in an hour. Totally delivered on the promise. Haven't again, we haven't seen that yet, in my opinion, with this show. But this it set it all. It had been setting this all up. It's been really setting it up for almost a year and a half now, but plenty of season 3 was also settled here, so that was great. I love the great opening. Again, the openings of the season, even in the episodes that I haven't loved, like the 2 Governor episodes, the openings have been fantastic. This was great. I loved the cross-cutting between his speech to manipulate the group to action, cut with him, brutally taking hostage these two members of Team Rick. I thought that the scene also in that beginning with the discussion between Herschel and the governor was just mind-bendingly good. It's like, when he's like, if you've had a daughter, then how can you threaten another person's daughter? His really
response was, because she's not mine.
Right, exactly.
And I just thought that was so menacing. I love that.
Oh, it was totally menacing. I totally agree. And it was also, it just epitomized the 2 sides of this coin that we're being shown all season, which is, survival versus, and I'll get into it more with Rick's side, but, really versus living, and it's like, are you able to care about what happens to other people and what your actions do, or are you only focused on your own survival or your own people? That was just amazing. So, he says, if you know what it means to have a daughter, how can you threaten to kill someone else's? And like you said, he said, because they aren't mine. Brutal. Then the little girl gets the gut with the muddy hands. And he picks her up and he hugs and gets off his coat, and she says, "I messed it all up." And he says, "No, you made it better." I think, that was kind of a reference to how she kind of brought him back in his mind from the abyss. I thought it was also a little telling, like when she says, Lily says to him, you don't have to do this, or it doesn't have to be like this. And he says, it was always going to be like this.
Right.
And I think he realizes that, he can't fight the crazy, inside of him.
Right.
And so I thought that was pretty cool. I thought the title was really cool. Too Far Gone. Obviously, on one level, it pertains to the prison being overrun and too far gone to maintain. That's kind of the literal, I think, interpretation for the episode. But for me, the subtext is that the governor was just too far gone to come back from what he had done, and he couldn't change his ways. He says like 4 times in this episode that he's doing all this so Lily and Megan can survive. He wants them alive, no matter the cost, no to others, to him, or to them even. It's like I just think that then in contrast, when they ask the discussion with Rick at the gate, Rick is like saying, we've all done things, we can change, we get to come back, and clearly, Rick has gone right to that precipice, but he was able to come back. And kind of focus on the fact that there's a difference between living and surviving. And I think he kind of was like saying to the governor, what we've started to build at the prison is living. Right. And things like that are worth fighting for. And I'm not going to just turn around and give it up. And I think in contrast, the governor can't change, but that makes him a great tragic bad guy. So he calls Rick a liar and snaps, and I loved how that was a callback to the survivalist camp where they find the dead bodies and the one sign says on it liar.
Yep.
And I just because he kind of associated with himself with that guy, even though he never knew him, and obviously that guy had snapped as well.
Right. And, what was funny in that last scene too is when Mitch, Kirk Acevedo, when he looks down, he calls him governor, and he looks up and says, "Don't call me that." And you see, it's like the last little thread.
I agree, but that was Herschel.
Oh, you're right.
That was Herschel. Yeah, that was Herschel.
Herschel calls him governor.
Don't call me that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that was when they were in the trailer.
RV.
Yeah.
Yep. And then when he snaps, when he says liar or whatever, I think it's just before that, I think it might be just before that, when Rick makes his whole speech, and there's just kind of this realization, I think, for the governor that like this is not going to go down the way he thought, that Rick is going to stand by his people. He's not going to like just cave,
right.
And he's going to have to get crazy or whatever to get this thing and tear it down. Then they cut to his point of view, and the camera gets tilted and kind of woozy, and there's this kind of like actual physical visual of him, I think, snapping. You know what I mean?
Right.
And going to this place that like he did when he shot all his own people at the end of last season, where he just kind of blacks out almost, and then he of course does the deed here with poor Herschel. So I thought that was cool. I love when they do stuff like that. I thought it was cool also that Rick was talking to the governor, but Herschel was the one who was hearing him.
Right.
I don't know if you saw it, the way they showed that, and it was like the slight smile on his face. And, I think you could, and I think they asked her, the character, Scott, I can't remember his last name. What?
Scott Wilson.
What that was about. And on Talking Dead. And he said, well, I think he thinks that this is going to turn out okay, based on what's Rick saying, and that maybe this is going to be, everything's going to be okay. But I didn't read it that way.
I didn't either.
I
took it as like a moment of pride in Herschel that, hey, Rick's finally got it. He's understanding.
Yes, I agree.
My Padawan is now a Jedi.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, the whole this portion of the season has been about, can we come back? Can we come back from the things that we've done?
Right.
And I think when he makes that speech in Herschel's mind, Rick has finally come back. He's not crazy anymore. He's not just caring about survival. He's caring about people now. And even when he jumps to, because at first I thought this was a bit of a flaw in the writing, when he first yells out to the governor, well, I don't make that decision. We have a council now, and they're going to make that decision. Now, that's a little hypocritical because a couple of episodes ago, he turned around and kicked Carol to the curb,
right,
and didn't consult with the council. But I think even he has now reached a point where he realizes that part of living instead of just surviving is not just acting independently on your own wishes, but working with the group. And so anyway, I think that I agree with you. I think that's what Herschel was hearing, and he was just so happy that he had made that growth. The fact that the governor yells, "Kill them all," that was like right out of the comic book.
Yep.
So yeah, in fact, it followed the book pretty close. It was great not knowing who else would get taken out, but I also thought it was in the comic, the governor gets taken out by Lily, and we don't really have any background on her, and it's kind of just this off the cuff, reactive thing that happens. She kills Lori and the baby, and just freaks out about the fact that this guy has led them to do this horrible stuff, and so she takes him out. She shoots him in the head, and it was funny because Kirkman again was asked about that on Talking Dead, and he talked about how he didn't want to give the governor any kind of a glorified finish. He thought that because he was a bad guy, he should get taken out in a casual kind of non-celebratory way. Right. And but he realizes now that you can it's not so much about the governors, but who gets to take them out. Right. And I think that the way they did this, man, both Michonne and Lily get to kill the governor, and Rick for that matter too. Rick gets a bunch of hits in there, then Michonne gets to put a sword to him, and then Lily gets to put a bullet in his head. They got a freaking punching bag, right?
He goes down like Caesar, basically. Everyone is stabbing him figuratively in their own way. Yeah.
So I thought that was great because it really gave closure and it gave satisfaction. And then the other thing too is that in this, because of the 2 episodes before, we now have so much more of a background on Lily than you did in the comic book,
right?
And that because I had an argument with a friend of ours about this, but because he felt that that wasn't as powerful as in the comic, and I totally disagree. I think it actually was better than the comic, because when she walks over to him and he's on the ground and she's looking down at him, I love the camera angle too. My heart was felt for. I was ripped out. I mean, here's this woman who has lost, for all she knows, her sister, her daughter, and her safety, because they were in that apartment for like how many, like a year and a half, right, and had been safe and had food and everything else. Now they get with this guy, and now they've murdered all these people, and they've lost their lives, and they've everything that means anything to him. She's just like, you've just totally ruined my entire what little life I had. And it just it had so much more meaning when she killed him, I think, than it did in the comic. Again, Rick and Carl separated from the group just like the comic.
Yep.
That was great. And and again, when I said at the beginning here how it delivered on the promise, a lot of those beats from the comic, and again, the same person I had the same discussion with about Lily, that they were a little they felt that it was kind of a spoiler for people who read the comic books, the way that Herschel got taken out, because you knew that, and I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, if they had not done that, it'd be bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
well, that was the whole speculation. I mean, we speculated here. You made the call correctly, and the first one in all of 8 episodes. Good for us. And
wait, but we got to go back and check that. I don't know if that's an accurate accounting of my my success rate.
I think it's 1. It might be 2, but I don't have any. So what do I know? But that's the thing, is it's such an iconic moment in the comic that you have to have. Right. Someone has to get decapitated. It has to happen, because that's and like you said, there would have been rioting on Twitter if they hadn't done it.
Well, they knew they were going to they had to take somebody out. There had to be somebody of meaning had to go. And we all know that. So then the question is, well, how are you going to do it? And it's like, well, you could do it any way you want, but if you don't do it the way in the comic book, you're really missing a great opportunity. Because that was that was just like, I can't even imagine a better way to have done it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think that was that was crucial that they did that, and it had to be Herschel. The more I thought about it, because leading up to this, I've always discussed with people about how if they do this, they should make it Daryl. Even though Daryl's super popular, Daryl kind of is filling the Therese bill in the TV show,
right?
Versus the comic, but the more I thought about it, and it's obviously why they built it up this season the way they did with his relationship with Herschel. But he's always had a close Rick has always had a close relationship with Herschel on the TV show. He's always used him to counsel and for moral center and for advice. And right from the beginning, really, I can remember one of the first episodes on the farm when, they're standing overlooking everything, and him and Herschel have this big talk, and Herschel's talking about how, there's still a divine purpose here somehow. And it was just, they've always had these kind of close moments of calmness in this chaos to, kind of try to get focused on their moral centers and stuff. And so I think that was definitely an issue. And though Daryl is filling some of the Tyrese role, Daryl's more just like the enforcer.
Right.
Rick and Daryl don't have the relationship that Therese and Rick had in the comic.
Right.
And I think that rather than there being one person, what they've done in the TV show is they've taken that relationship and spread it over the two of them. Herschel and Daryl. Mm-hmm. And I think that it would have worked with either of them, but I think it actually had more emotional power for me with Herschel because I think it resonated probably even more with Rick. I think it would have been, it's hard from a survival point of view to lose Daryl because of his great contribution physically, but internally and emotionally, and I think that's going to be a huge loss for Rick. Huge loss for Rick. So that I thought that was even a better choice.
Well, no one really had the calming influence on him like Herschel did. Herschel's always had that. He's always been the Yoda to young brash Anakin, Rick. So without that anchor to kind of keep him steady, keep him level. It's who's gonna step up to the plate and keep and keep him in that position, which we know it'll be Abraham coming up.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I would I guess.
But I don't think you can have Rick revert. Like Rick's attained this new level, this new height, and to have him revert back to what he was, it'll be tempting. But I think Rick's got there's a new paradigm for him. There's a new.
I think he's going to be rocked. I think we're not going to start off with him being all. I think he's. They've kind of not missed. They already took the crazinessville and used it when he lost Lori, with the phone call and all that stuff. So they can't go there again. I agree with you on that. But he's going to be pretty, I think he's going to be pretty destroyed from this whole situation. And but I agree with you. I think that he has changed, and I think he will stay somewhat on point. But, the whole gist of the show is that, this guy goes through these ups and downs. He's not perfect, and he's always kind of a work in progress. And I know that aggravates a lot of people, but I see that as being very realistic. I was glad that they again, coming back to that fulfilling the promise. They came back to the rats. They didn't really answer the question, but they continued the mystery, which was cool.
That was one of my favorite things about the episode is that the mystery's back on. We thought last week that maybe they would just get brushed under the table, and now it's back on, and that puts Bob back on the table as possible.
Yeah, I think Bob's possible. Plus, what was up with him? I assume there was booze in that box that he was looking at.
That was my guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe not. Maybe it was a dead rat.
Maybe.
But I don't think so. I think that my guess is that it's Carol's crazy girls. That are most likely the Lizzie one, and that there was the importance of that sequence. I think in this was to put put a opening, a little window or a little bit of light on the idea that Carol is covering for Lizzie, which has always been a theory that's been out there that people have been talking about online and stuff, and that, maybe she came upon that or found that and maybe tried to cover it up or whatever, and then just decided to take responsibility for it so that the girls wouldn't get prosecuted. You know what I'm saying? I think Lizzie may have done that and may have been the one, because she was the one that had the affection for the zombies and was treating them, like people, and
right.
and wanted to care for them, whatever. And remember, I don't know, care about, but I think she may have been the one that was then giving them the rats. But then she's kind of gotten it. Plus, it's very for psycho serial killers and sociopaths and stuff. Psychologically, there's been lots of studies done, and a lot of that ability to inflict pain on humans at an older age starts out in childhood as inflicting pain on animals.
Right.
And that rat had been dissected.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That was not just killed. That thing was pulled apart, and it was it was a real crazy looking thing. So
yeah.
So because and then even Tyrese is like, we've got a freaking psychopath in our group. You know what I mean? And I think it might be Lizzie, and it could be Bob, but I think it's probably Lizzie, and Carol was covering for her, so Carol didn't actually kill those people, and that will help bring her back into the fold at some point down the road. And I wouldn't be surprised, someone speculated, I don't know where I saw it, but I thought it was a great speculation, that when we last see Tyrese, he's with those girls.
Yeah.
They actually save him.
Right.
Which I'll talk about it when we get to another part of the show, but because that was awesome too. But so my guess is he's with them, and I wouldn't be surprised if they run into Carol. And then you get Tyrese, Carol, and the crazy girl, and that whole thing starts to come out and unravel. I don't know. Potentially, that could be a really cool plot line. You know what I mean? So I don't know if they'll do that, but I'm hoping. Daryl is a badass. When he puts that grenade down the nose of that tank.
Yeah.
that was awesome. And at first I was like, oh man, that guy would never have been able to get out of that tank in time before it blew up.
Oh, come on. This is Hollywood. Like a grenade has a 3-second fuse, but in Hollywood, that's a 15-second fuse.
That's right. But
haven't you ever seen Die Hard 2?
Yes.
He's got all this time to jump into the cockpit, strap himself in, and then eject before the grenade goes off. And it's just been sitting there for like a minute.
That's right. But I understood, because then when he got out of the tank, it allowed Daryl to put an arrow in his heart. Yeah. So he had to get out of that tank.
Well, I love the how Daryl's shooting at the guys, shooting at the opposing force, and then the zombie comes up behind him, and the zombie's about to just latch on him, and you're like, holy crap, is it really? And then they cut away, and we go to something else. And when we come back, here's a zombie moving with rebar through his head, and Daryl's using him as a shield.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Badass.
That was awesome. Not very believable that would work with M16 automatic rifle fire, but still very cool. And I like too that the guy like puts his hands up, like, oh man, you got me, And Daryl, who we know has been like getting more compassionate and more like not as brutal and kind of caring and everything. And he's just like, and he just puts the thing right through the guy's chest. Yeah. It's like, sorry, dude, you went over the line. You drove a freaking tank into our house. Yeah. You're going down. Oh, that was awesome. So that pretty much capsulizes all my good. If is there anything I missed that you felt?
I don't. My big ones were there's some that I don't necessarily agree with you on the good, and I'll talk about those when we get to the bad side. But I love how we've gotten to that here it is, the juxtaposition. I just
want to point out, this is the second week in a row now. You have been the one to juxtaposition. So I call bullshit on all this, all these claims of me being obsessed with the word juxtaposition. Go ahead.
But the crossing of the crossing point now where the comic and the show come together. We knew this was going to happen.
Right.
I thought the last half of the episode, the actual invasion was really cool. When they were down in the prison and down in the bowels, and Tyrese says, we got a problem here. We got a psycho here, and.
Right.
Rick says, well, there's something we got to tell you. And you hear that boom overhead. It's on like Donkey Kong. And,
right.
You go out and they're standing there. So the tank and all that, this is what we've been waiting for. I like that.
You must have been glad that Glenn was on the sideline, right? So I know how much you love Glenn.
That guy, man. Again, I just want the scenes with him and Maggie, and they've so emasculated him that he might as well be in a dress in every episode. I mean, seriously, it's like, all right, I need some water. No, baby, I'll go get it for you. Okay, so he's just gonna lay there, and then he gets on the bus and he's like, I gotta help. No, you stay here on the bus. It's just the dude's got to look at the actor's got to look at his contract because he's getting screwed here. I mean, it's just so Glenn was effectively worthless again in this episode, and his girlfriend's like just total badass. The mystery at the prison, really like that. Yeah, those are the dawning realization on Herschel right before his end, and I got to say. Well, let me back up. The dawning realization on Herschel's face at the end when he realized that his son, quote unquote son, has become a man, and like he gets it now. I like that, and right before the bad thing's about to happen, he gets it. I also liked in the trailer when they were in the RV. I also liked the governor when he had the two of them sitting there, right? And there was just kind of that was the bridge. That was the split between Brian Harriet and the governor, and that was the make or break point because you could see where he was. He wasn't menacing there, and he was. What did he give him? He gave him a book, or he gave him something. He's like, "You're going to be here for a while," and it was. Right. It was like he had mellowed out. Like, you guys are my enemies, but you know what? This is how this is going to play out. And then of course the when he's about to walk out the door, I took that as the metaphor of walking from his Brian Harriet into full on governor when he said, well, it's not my, it's not my kid. And then when he walks out, then it was on. So yeah, it was definitely, once the invasion started, I couldn't fast forward through commercials fast enough to get to the next part. So that part was good.
Yeah.
I'm going to lead off the bad. And
I love too in that sequence, since you brought it up, when he, they obviously they wanted Herschel to basically say exactly what Rick was going to say so that there would be this,
right.
Oh my gosh, they're in harmony. You know what I mean? And so his little speech was a prelude to Rick's, obviously. But when the governor turns and says, Rick and I could never live together. Michonne and I could never live together. You know what I mean? I thought that was really, it was very cool. It was very honest. And she's sitting there with the freaking smoke coming out of her ears. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, if I could get this thing off my hands, I would wring his neck right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, he's like, he's realized, but he has, I think he's so cool and calm about it because he's already kind of at some level, maybe even not conscious, decided he's just going to kill all these people.
Yeah.
And, he does, we can't live together. It's me and I got to be. That's the other thing, too, is he says, was it there that he says? Yeah, he says, did I write it down? He's talking to Herschel and he says, he starts to get aggravated. And it's right around that point where he says, I can't live with Rick, and Rick and I can never live together, and Michonne and I can never live together. And he says something, but he stops and he says, it's always got to, I can't remember exactly what he says, but he says something like, I've always got to be, and then he stops himself, and then he gets up to leave.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
I have to go back and look. But immediately in my head, I said, he's always got to be in charge. He that this is not about Lily. It's not about Megan. It's not about his daughter. It's not really about family and love. For him, it's ultimately, he's got to be in charge. He's got to be in power. He's got to be calling the shots, and everyone's got to be, toting his line. And that's the only way he's going to be happy. And I thought that was a very telling line.
For me, though, even though we know that this is coming, his speech to the group. Now, just a couple episodes ago, we had Pete basically tell this group, okay, we lost, what's his face? I'm going to be in charge now. Oh, no, you're not going to be in charge. We're going to put this to a vote. And there was a big, to do about it. Now, all of a sudden, nobody's questioning where, Pete has gone or what's the guy that I'm talking about? Lackey number one. What's his name?
Pete's brother?
No. The guy, the former henchman. Ramirez. Not Ramirez.
Martinez.
So, right. No one questions where these people are, and the governor stands in front of this little band of people and says, all right, we're going to go invade the prison because there's bad people in there and there's murderers. And I've caught 2 of them, and nobody thinks to say, well, whoa, I need to know a little bit more about this. Not the,
right.
junior police officer in training. Nobody questions. They're just like, well, okay, sounds good to me. And right. Wait, you with the eye patch, you're now in charge? Oh, okay, done. And so for me, the big part of the big bad about this was the lead up to there came a point in the show about 20 minutes in when I was like, how are you guys going to pull this off in an episode? We know it's got to happen now. And I thought maybe they might drag it out and the cliffhanger would be the tank starts to move on the prison or like it fires a first salvo or something.
God,
and we got to wait until the next one.
Thank God they didn't do that.
True. But it just seemed very compressed. It just seemed like
yes.
What it reminded me of is episode 3 of Star Wars. At the end, when there's like 15 minutes left, and it just seems like George Lucas is running down a checklist of stuff that he wants to get done, and it's like, right. Oh, I had a kid. We'll name him Luke. Check. I just had another kid. Oh, we'll name her Leia. Okay, check. And then, okay, we got to get Uncle Ben in here. We got to do this. And it just seemed like they were just running through this checklist really quick to lead up to, to get the tank, to right. get the invasion on. And right. That was just, that was a little problem for me.
No, I agree. I definitely, it's on it. That is on my my list as well of the bad. I think that the fact that, this guy comes in a complete unknown, then all of a sudden, right away, the 2 guys leading the show are killed, and no one really kind of questions it. They were freaking out about the fact that Peter was going to be put in charge. Remember, they're like, yeah. Wait a minute, we want to be able to say, but they don't have a problem with the fact that the governor takes over.
Right.
So I totally agree with you. I think that was way too rushed and compacted, but that's a factor of the fact that they only had these last 3 episodes to get that in, and instead of doing a slower burn and showing a small bit of it every episode from the beginning, which I still don't know. I know last week I said I changed my mind and I thought that was a better way to do it. I don't know.
And it does. It goes back to what they did in the prior 2 episodes. They should have shortened up some of the governor stuff and compressed
I agree. I think that the governor on the road should have been 1 episode or a half of an episode, and then he should have gone to the camp, and then so we got like an episode and a half of him at the camp, and so that there's time, for them to establish a believability to these actions. I agree with you on that. But they also, I think, made a decision that they didn't want the governor to just be a cartoon character like he is in the comic. They didn't want to be one-dimensional. They wanted him to have, a story and some characterization so that we could see how he gets from, he gets all torn down and then how he gets back to where he is. And so I think they felt they needed to do that. And from the story point of view, so they had to do that whole first episode of him on the road. And then that didn't leave them a lot of time for them to get him into the position that he's in. So,
yeah. And I just thought it was I wanted him to be more. And the thing is, I thought that he did become something of a cartoon character during the invasion. Look, it's a great moment when he's talking to Rick, and then when he just sits there and he just and he growls "liar" and he hacks at Herschel's head. That was great. Okay, I get it. And then he says "kill them all," and they all go in there. But then it's almost like they went over crazy to show us that to reinforce that. This guy's really nuts, and we're going to show you why he's nuts. He sits there and he's really working on Herschel's head to get Herschel's head off, which Okay, whatever. A head's got to come off because that's what happened in the comic. But is it really necessary? It doesn't play a part in the greater thing. He's bananas. Got it. Okay. And then when Lizzie comes in and she's got Megan, and
Lily.
Or Lily, yeah, Lily,
Yep.
and she's got Megan, and he takes Megan, and I mean, you're like, holy shit, this is gonna hurt him, that's his daughter 2.0, and he goes up and gets her, and we can't have a moment of compassion. We can't just have like a small moment where he takes a knife and just silently does her. No, we got to remember he's crazy now. He's full on crazy, so he's gonna pull a gun out and in front of the mother and just go blam, shoot her in the head. Come on. I thought it would have been a little bit more compelling. That Brian Harriet, that guy's still in there when he takes her, maybe cries over her, or whatever can come out of one eye, and he leans over and just very silently, just does her.
Right.
That would be. So I just thought they oversold the crazy there.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. It didn't bother me. I think the way I interpreted it was they had to somehow get him back to the person he was at the end of last season when he shot and killed all of his people.
Yeah.
I mean, they had, because that was established. I mean, that's how crazy this guy is. And so it was kind of like, we got to bring him back to that level of crazy. And when this daughter is gone, then he is completely off the reservation now. And we're going to show you how whacked out he is. Plus, they wanted to add even more to Lily's killing of him at the end.
That's true.
It's it's not bad enough that she lost this child because of him, but then he goes and shoots her in the head right in front of her. I mean, it was just like brutal and insensitive, and just capsulized the monster that he is for her, making it more poignant when she kills him.
And speaking of monsters, there could not have better, even though I'm a big fan of the actor, Ken Acevedo, but Mitch dying was just, no one's going to shed a tear over that guy. Your brother gets killed by this guy, and you're okay with it. Cool, I'm just going to, don't kill me, I'll just sign up. Never once is a factor in maybe he'll turn his back, rolls a tank in, kills a bunch of people, and taking one through the heart, that was the easiest way you could go,
Yeah. Well, then they made it even. They tried to make it even worse when he turns around and yells at the sister that she need, get off your ass and start firing, get in there, And you can tell that she was like totally shell shocked. I think that it's interesting that they didn't show the two of them dying, Lily and the sister. I don't remember the sister's name. Do you? Is it No, it's not Andrea. No, I don't know. But anyway, both of them, the sister gets up and then it's implied that she kind of says, fuck this, and bolts.
Tara.
And what? Tara.
Yep.
That's right. And then Lily, obviously, we see at the end with the governor. So I wonder if they're going to bring them back. I wonder if they're going to have them join the group somehow, or join up with one of the groups somehow, or if they kind of left it like they did in the comic, where the Lily leads what's left of the Woodburyans into the prison while the zombies are all coming in, and she says, come on, let's take it now. We'll go inside. We'll all off. Blah blah blah. And I always thought, wow, I think he's going to go back to that prison then and deal with those people at some point, but he never did. And we never know what happened. I guess the assumption is that they get overrun by the zombies, or that it doesn't matter because it doesn't relate to the rest of the people. Right. So we may get nothing on that. But I think it would be interesting because we learned so much about them, and in order to bring the governor's story up to be, I would be cool with seeing them reintroduced somehow. What about you? Do you think they should keep them in, or?
No, I think we're done with them. Move on, and let's go on to the next. Let's go on to the next story. Let's not keep bringing. We're done with the prison. Move on.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Okay.
How about you? What was your bad?
My bad. No way that zombie shield I already said was going to protect Daryl from the M16 fire. It was very cool. I loved it, but not very believable. The whole scene with Lily and Megan, the way that they set that up, I thought I'm kind of torn because I think it was an unbelievable scenario. Why would you be sitting up on top of that RV watching out and letting your daughter be, 30 yards away or 40 yards away with her back to the woods. I mean, that child would be freaking tied to my waist. You know what I mean? So that was a little hard to swallow. But they did such a great job with building that tension in that scene with that zombie coming across the lake, and you could just see she was in her pants and she didn't know what she was going to do, and you're all focused on this zombie, and then that guy gets washed away, and then you realize that wasn't even that wasn't the terror, and I thought that was really cool. So I'm willing to give in on that, but I think that setup was unbelievable, Plus, where the hell was it? Was it just her and Megan?
That's what it looked like. Yeah, everybody else was on the invasion.
I guess, but that, I don't know. I would think he would leave somebody with her. You know what I mean?
And, and this goes back to the whole time. Yeah. So wait, where were they? That she was on the RV, and then the invasion goes on, and then she
gets in a car and goes to the invasion.
And then exactly. And then, or did she walk there carrying Megan in her arms?
No. There's a car behind her. There's a car behind her with the door open, so she drove there.
Okay.
But it's like, so she obviously knew where to go, how to go. I love too how we're a year and a half in and everybody's got cars, It's like there's going to be traffic jams pretty soon. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So, my initial reaction to the way they handled Judith, I saw that as a negative. I thought they kind of copped out. But I can also see how, having the child continue, or the baby or infant, could also add to the story down the road. It's going to hamper it in some ways, but any hope for survival in this really balances on the ability to raise children in this new world. So Judith kind of represents that last hope for any future, and it's a little early to dash that. So maybe that's why, because I'm guessing that Tyrese grabbed her.
You do know what happened in the comic, right?
In the comic, yeah, she dies being held by Lori. She gets shotgunned by Lily.
Right.
And I think that they probably, a lot of people, I was reading online, and a lot of people are speculating that she's dead, that they just didn't want to show the baby being killed, so that's why there's blood in there. But I'm not buying that. I think that somebody scooped her up, and whoever it was bleeding, and had blood all over him or whatever, and that's how the blood got in there. My initial guess was that it's Tyrese, because he got saved by the girls, the crazy girl, Carol's crazy, Team Crazy, and they had the baby in a segment previous. So I figure he went with them and he grabbed the baby or whatever. But I saw speculation last night online that I thought was really good, and that is that Michonne grabbed the baby. And I think that would be so cool, because first of all,
because we saw that episode with her and her.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, where she's obviously got some sort of connection or past child loss, and it would just be fantastic. And plus, I'm sorry, but her with that baby on a papoose on her back with the katana.
Lone Wolf and Cub,
baby.
Absolutely.
So right there, Lone Wolf and Cub, man. I was like, oh, come on, bring it.
She'll get separated from the group. She'll have two zombies on chains with their jaws detached as her, guards, and a papoose on her back.
That's awesome. So I think she's on her own with the little Judith. Maybe I think that would be cool. I hope they do that, because that would be very, very cool. Another bad I had was overall, I thought the battle was excellent, as you've discussed, and I totally agree. It felt cramped to me, set-wise. It just felt like everything was kind of shoved into one little set, where they were in front of the fence. And this is a huge prison, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. It was terrible tactics. Yeah, we're going to attack the prison right here on cell block C, and Rick and his crew should have just gone around, surrounded them, and just
exactly. Plus, they had the other towers. Granted, they blew out one of the towers, but they just it just felt like, I agree. Line up this. the British will line up over here and wear red coats.
Kneel in front, stand in back. Yeah, and there was
That's
one
right.
point where you hear the round go through the side of into one of those buildings, and two things. One, for all the special effects that we've got, especially on the show that they do so well on, it just seemed like the old A-Team, special effects when they like blow up a building and there's that canned explosive sound, that you. But there was one time when it seemed like they hit the same building. Like it was like they hit one, and then there was another one, and I thought for a second, didn't we just hit that? People diving for cover. It was very A-Team.
Yeah. And I agree. It was like, well, they blew it up twice, but it was the same area because they just had this one little area of the set that they were working with, Plus the CG, since you brought it up, on that burning tower was pretty lame.
Yeah, it was.
Background behind Rick.
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck is that? It looks like an animatic. So it was really, I thought that was pretty bad.
Dun, 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 dun.
As I mentioned, I thought it was a little hypocritical for Rick to claim that he can't make the decisions that the council votes on everything. But at the same time, like I said, I since I wrote that note, it's one of my bads that I kind of reconciled that it was a way to show some more of development in him.
Oh, I missed one. Rick and Daryl and us coming in halfway into that conversation. I feel robbed.
Yeah, I agree. I have that down as one of my bads too. I thought plus his reaction, he just wasn't bent enough.
No, not at all.
Not at all. And and in some ways, I think that comes back to why I was saying it was crucial that it ended up being Herschel that went to, because that said to me more than anything, that little sequence with him and Daryl, that Daryl's just muscle. Daryl just is going to follow Rick. He's attached himself to Rick. He thinks Rick's a good man, and he's gonna follow his lead. He has a mind of his own, and he puts input and everything else. But for the most part, he's not going to challenge Rick.
Right.
And in that way, Herschel was more of a confidant, because Herschel would just flat out tell Rick he's being an ass. You know what I mean? And so, but I was very disappointed.
I thought Daryl laid over way too quickly with that.
Yeah, I was disappointed in that. They really milked it. They let when he's coming out, I got to go talk to Daryl, and Carl's like, well, can he wait? Yeah, I guess it can wait. And then boom, all hell. And then we see the governor, and then we get 2 episodes with no governor.
Well, now they're gonna milk it. They're gonna milk it with Tyrese now, as you've seen in here. Hey, I got something to tell you. Boom. Oh wait, we got to run away, and then they run away.
Well, I hope that the reason for that is what I just mentioned, that they're going to have her hook up with him, and then she's going to end up having to tell him, or whatever. I don't know how they're going to do that.
That would be a good scenario. I like that. I think that.
Yeah, I hope that's where they go and why they did it that way. I think with the Daryl thing, they just kind of were like, we got to do this huge battle. We can't have them at odds. You know what I mean? But I think it could have. I still think it could have Daryl, get in his face the way he got in Bob's face. Yep. And say to him, this is bullshit, and after we deal with this, you and I are gonna have it out. Yep. You know what I mean? Yep. Or something like that. But like I said, I don't think they've developed Daryl to be, to challenge him. So yeah, that was pretty much all my bads. I mean, very few. I mean, real nitpicking. I mean, overall, I really enjoyed the episode, and I thought it was fantastic and the best mid-season finale yet.
Well, my ugly is, and it's a good ugly, because this is the episode. While I've been looking forward to the invasion and the tank, and I love all that, there's one part of this that I've always been wondering how they were going to handle, and it was probably the first time in the comic book that I shouted out loud, holy S.
Right.
Probably used the F-bomb in there a couple times too. And I read the pages a couple times again and again, because it was just, it just caught me completely from left field, and it was just absolutely awful, was Judith's death. In the comic, it was Judith and Lori. But in here, so it was always, how are they going to do it? They can't let Judith walk out of here because that blows the paradigm. Now, I get your point, and I like your scenario, and I think that would be a really cool thing. One of the things that upsets me that annoys me actually is when you watch shows like this, you can't just take that scene for what it is, that there was a bloody baby seat and then the horror. And I love that. I also love that it's, it's very Hitchcockian. We don't actually have to see let's assume that she was eaten, that she was killed. We don't have to actually see it. The blood in the baby seat, there, I just sold it. That in itself is horrific enough. My mind will go overtime to fill in. And I thought that was absolutely fantastic. What annoys me is that I can't take that scene at face value. That I have to sit here and go, and I agree with you that no, that's too easy. It's not easy, but no, that can't be the end. They got to have something else. We're missing Michonne. We're missing Tyrese. Something good has to come out of this. Like you said, there's got to be some semblance of hope, because we're talking about Do Nothing Glenn and Maggie, getting together, possibly having a kid, who'll probably do more than his dad does, but. So they've got to have. So they've got to have. They have to have. They've got to have their hope bolstered. So keeping Judith around, bolsters them. So
yeah, sure. Well, again, it gives you something to keep living for. You know what I mean?
But it was just the scene, the realization that. That seeing that baby seat there, I mean, that was just one of those, man, that gets, especially as a parent, man, that gets you right in the heart,
Oh yeah, and I thought Rick and Carl's reaction was on point, with that, when they saw that, they basically both of them got punched in the stomach, and it was just their worst case scenario, in their minds, and and too, I love too was that, I felt Rick's pain, they don't, in lots of TV shows, someone goes through the brutal fight that he went through with the governor, and then they get up and they're saved and they get up and everything's fine and they run off,
Yep.
Rick had the crap beat out of him and he was almost choked to death.
Yeah.
And the guy couldn't speak. He could barely breathe. He was bloodied. He couldn't walk. That was so realistic. You know what I mean? And I thought he did a really good job with that.
Well, that's why the show's on AMC and not ABC.
Right. I don't have an ugly this week. I guess if my ugly, it would be a good ugly, and basically it's just that what I said at the top, that I just felt that it delivered on the promise. And to me that was fantastic, especially after those two. I was going into this episode very nervous. After the two governor episodes that there was going to be a letdown, but I was very pleasantly surprised. I don't think I would have done anything. I would have asked for anything to be done too much different.
Now, just one thing again, because you can never take anything at face value. When Lily pulls the gun on the governor, we see the POV from the governor, but we don't actually see him get hit.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just putting it out there.
I saw a lot of speculation online again too about that. I think they did it for the reason that we're just sitting here talking about it. They did it because, I think they also did it from a creative point of view because they wanted the focus to be on her. You'd already seen him get skewered by Michonne, the crap beat out of him by Rick. You didn't need to see him anymore, but you did need to see her, and you did need to see how she felt about him.
And I'm going to disagree about that because, I think you can for the beginning. You can see, she saw him for who he is, and she's lost everything. And I could see that you could shoot that, showing her coming to with menace, but then you switch the POV. He's the main character. You made her in the scene. You made her like the focus. And for me, if you really want to put a cap on the governor and just make sure that he's dead and giving him a horrible end, show him getting shot through the other eye. Show his end. Show him making a plea maybe, or just, one last gasp that he has. Show Brian Harriet come out. The governor, that multiple person. Show that come out and then put him down. So that's why I think I'm leaning towards somewhere down the line we're going to see Negan and the governor together.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be interesting. Well, to your theory, in the comic book, just to remind people, the way the whole governor situation works with Michonne is very different. Obviously, he captures her and tortures her ridiculously and horribly, and then she escapes. But before she escapes, she gets him, and she tortures him. I believe is the way it goes, right? And she takes his eye.
Yeah.
She cuts off his arm. She castrates him, and she just and leaves him in such a way that as a reader you're thinking he's dead.
Yeah.
But then someone comes in and grabs him, and they get medical help and everything else, and obviously he survives, and then he comes back to the prison many months later or whatever, and has what we just saw last night. So he, the fight she had with him where she took out his eye wasn't anywhere near the level of what it was in the comic books. So perhaps, to your point, they're going to have this guy get so, brutal, chopped up, shot up, everything else, but yet come back.
Yeah.
And, I don't think so, but I think, yes, they did leave it in a way that you could see that happening possibly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you. But, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm done with the governor as far as I'm concerned.
I am too. Yeah, I don't want it to happen. Yeah, no, I think we're done with this. Let's move on to a new.
And I think they got to realize that, especially with the heat that they probably took for those two governor episodes, the failure to deliver on the season finale last season, the fact that he killed all his own people and did something totally stupid, and the governor is evil. There's no doubt about it, both in the comic book and in the TV show. But he was never stupid.
Right.
In either places. He was always calculating and smart. And they show that in this show. But for him to do that where he killed all his own people, that wasn't inconsistent with his thinking. He's ruthless. He's not going to undermine his own effort to do something. So I think that they took a lot of heat for that. So my guess is the governor is gone. They're going to move on.
Hopefully.
I hope so too. Any other bads or goods or uglies?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
So my zombie killer of the week. Wait a minute. You know what? Before we get to that, let me just. I had some remaining thoughts here. They weren't in either of our three categories. There was a part of me that hoped that Carol was going to show up on the backside of the governor's crew and start taking them out shooting. Like Andrea did.
Yeah.
She'd show up with her car, like Andrea showed up in the RV. She'd get up on top of the car with a sniper rifle and starts taking them out from back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would have been cool. I was kind of hoping for that. Didn't see that. I got here about the governor. People speculating the governor's not dead. So, yeah, I agree with you there. Did you notice that one of the last shots of the zombies flooding into the prison? Did you notice anything about the zombies? There was one shot where there's a pullback where you see them all coming in almost like ants, but before that, there's a shot of a whole bunch of them coming up, walking towards the camera.
No.
The center zombie is the Irish crazy lady from episode 2. I don't remember her name. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Go back, you'll see.
Okay.
And then I remembered that Rick didn't shoot her in the head. She killed herself with a knife, and he left her.
Okay.
So I thought that was a cool little echo from the previous episode. I also hope somebody, when they spread out, they're obviously going to start off this second half of the season with everybody dispersed. And then it'll be a story of, I guess, probably them all, all having individual issues going on, but then they'll slowly start to come back together. But I hope somebody encounters Peter in the lake.
Oh yeah.
I hope somebody finds him. I think that would be funny. I also thought that, again, delivering on the promise, Bob, one of the things that they have been kind of hinting at, Bob's got this drinking problem, but is Bob a spy for the governor? Is Bob got ulterior motives? Is Bob trying to undermine the group somehow?
Right.
And totally not, in my opinion. I mean, maybe, but at this point, I'm like, he's part of the group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when Daryl hands him the rifle and says, are you cool? Are you cool? And he's like, yeah. And then he worked hard to try and hold on to that prison, and he took a bullet for it. And I felt like for the first time, I felt like he had really joined the group. I also loved the groups that they made. They instead of like going like Maggie and Glenn, Therese and Sasha,
right.
They took everybody and freaking jumbled them all up.
Yeah.
And it was just so smart, because now you're going to really get to see characterization, and people that weren't coming together at all in the story are all of a sudden going to have to work together. I love the fact that Maggie and Glenn are separated. I love the fact that Daryl's with the other sister, Beth.
Yep.
And because they've had a little thing, kind of little something going on. You insinuated a couple of episodes ago, so that's going to be cool. I love that Teresa's with these crazy kids that may have been the ones to kill his girlfriend. Freaking wild. Michonne on her own, maybe with the baby. Oh my God, so cool. I mean, and then Rick and Carl. Yeah, I mean, just like we're gonna really get a chance to see them again, continue to deal with their relationship, their father-son relationship. I think we're gonna really see Carl step up now. Even more.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic foresight. And then you got Sasha and Bob and Maggie, right?
Yeah.
That's another group, which is great, because Maggie's going to want to be getting back to Glenn, and Sasha's going to be wanting to get back to Therese. I hope they don't come back at the beginning and just like have a bunch of them get all back together in the first episode,
Right.
But we'll have to wait and see. But I hope not. I also wanted, again, they've done such a better job of the diversity, of the characters, in terms of ethnicity. There was this whole issue that had been going on previously about African Americans in the show, and
right.
and then there couldn't be more than one black guy, prominent in the show and everything. And they've really just totally gone beyond that and past that. They've introduced a bunch of good characters, and they're all interacting with each other, and it just feels so much more real. It just seems much more, realistic to the real world. Those are the only other comments. So the next thing I had was zombie kill of the week.
So your zombie kill of the week.
Well, I actually did not have a zombie kill of the week, because for me the kill of the week was Alicia's being shot in the head by the creepy Team Carol girls.
Oh yeah.
When she turns around with the M16 and sees these kids, and there's just like, and they're pointing guns at her. It was just, the look on her face was just like, total like, WTF, man, what the, and then boom, right in the, that was classic.
Mine was the rebar through the head by Daryl. I like that one.
Yeah, that was cool. And then he used that, right, to hold him.
Yeah, he was holding him like a kebab, like a shish kebab. Just carrying him along.
Zombie of the week for me was the mud zombie that gets Megan at the lake. So cool, just disgusting and gross, and just everything just perfect.
Yeah, that was mine too. That was cool.
I didn't get the whole when she's digging out the sign. Man, could they have gotten a bigger sign? I mean, the girl's she's like holding it away. It's like bigger than her.
I thought she was opening up like a doorway to a tunnel or something.
I did too. And then when it said flash floods, I was like, I don't get it. What are they going to do? They're going to have a flash flood happen? That'd be freaking stupid. You know what I mean? And then when he starts coming out of the bottom, like, dead people.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So did you have a zombie of the week?
That was probably mine as well. There weren't too many zombies spotlit on this. This was mostly a person characterization. So yeah, that was mine too. I was kind of hoping the zombie was going to make it across the lake or across the river. He just starts walking across, and then no, the current's got him.
Right. I did too. I was kind of hoping they would do that. And then while she's battling that zombie, the other zombie comes up and attacks Megan, simultaneously. So should be distracted and wouldn't even realize it. But I think this way they just kind of messed with us, They kind of like got you all scared. And then when it washed away, it was like, relief. And then boom, the real threat popped up,
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool too.
Unless it's meant to show that the zombies are getting more desperate. Because the thing the governor says is that they can't cross water, or they don't cross water. Now, is it that they can't because they just try it and they fail all the time? So does a zombie walk and see water and just kind of go, no, can't swim, and then walk away? Or is this a sign that the zombies are getting bolder, that they're now walking into water?
I don't think so. I think it was. We've seen, like at the farm, they had the zombies that were always getting stuck in the mud in the lake. I don't think zombies have any care about the water, or even now, any understanding that it's even there. They just move. I think the issue is that the current. He felt confident that the current would wash away anything, that they wouldn't be able to get through the current, and that's why it was a safe spot. But then how did they get there? You know what I mean?
Right.
They had to. Was it an island? So then they have to cross a bridge. I don't know. It was it was a little too.
They fell out of the helicopter
convenient.
that landed on the building.
Yeah, it was too convenient, and to some degree it wasn't necessary.
Right.
Why not just keep the camp? You know what I mean, and let her stay at the camp. I guess they felt that it had become unsafe there when they had the attack the previous week on Megan in the laundry. Yeah, my characters of the week were Rick and the governor. It was really both their episodes, I think. That was it, man. I just thought I was really glad that they did all that they did in it. I thought they did an effective job. I think some things were actually better than the book. And just an excellent way to end the season. I hate to have to wait.
So you gave it a 4.75, you said?
Yeah. What about you?
I'm going to give it 3.68, I believe. It was good. I just didn't, the back half was. That's unfair. I'm going to give it a 4.12. Because it was definitely better than what we've been. It just felt rushed, and it just felt. I think the front half we got into it too soon, but it was a good episode. I liked it. Probably like you had said before, I think it was probably better than the farmhouse evacuation scene from before. So
yeah, that was a great scene, but. This just had so much more going on, and that's still a great scene in terms of zombie on people. And like you just said, this was more people on people.
Right.
So kind of can't really be compared, I guess.
We are on hiatus until February.
Right.
Trying to see what the date is. I think it's early February.
Did they say? I think it was the 9th.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. So February 9th. So what Kirk and I are planning on doing here at Biters is for the maybe every other week we'll come on for a shorter podcast, and since we won't have Walking Dead to talk about, what we like to talk about are movies, books, comics, anything zombie related. So if you have something that you'd like to hear us talk about, a movie, something for us to check out, leave us a note on our Facebook page, and we will definitely check it out. Kirk here is, I got to warn you, Kirk has probably seen everything that's ever been made. So if you can find something that he's not
at all.
But so we'll keep the podcast alive here during the break and talk about all things zombie.
Yeah, and plus we've still got, we've got the, we can talk a lot more about what's going on in the comic, because they've got the double issues going on every month between now and February, and that's been pretty good. They just had
116, right?
Yeah, 116 or 117, 116, I think, and that was pretty good.
You're right. It is 117.
Yeah, that whole storyline's really been pretty powerful. It's really geared up. Yeah, it's really heating up. And I didn't realize I picked up what trade is it? Is it this one? The last trade, I guess. So 6 issues. It's at least 6 issues before this started, maybe more, and they were already kind of starting the planning for the war.
Okay.
Jesus is going around to the different communities and stuff like that, and it's like I didn't realize how long they've. He's really. It's been a slow burn to this thing. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah.
All right.
I'm looking forward to seeing Abraham.
Yeah.
I think that.
And Michael Cudlitz is a great actor too, from Southland and Band of Brothers. So that'll be a good choice.
I wonder. I hope that I thought his death in the comic was just the most casual, and I was probably one of the most aggravating deaths for me in the comic.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been amazing ones, and there've been sad ones, and there've been some that I wished it had more glory or whatever, but that was just. But I can't, it was so random. But I can't get upset about it because that's just so real life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just so real life, So for anybody, this will be a spoiler, but for anybody who's not reading the book, but Abraham goes out in a very kind of unplanned, coincidental kind of way.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, he's a great character. I hope that he gets a long run, But I think you're right. Maybe he will have to become kind of the new Herschel, because I don't think there's anybody, unless Tyrese does, because Tyrese started out as this kind of real centered kind of I don't want to say moralistic, but he was really laid back and didn't want to be confrontational, and maybe and now he's lost a lot, so now he's pretty bitter. But maybe he'll start to become more focused or more centered, and Rick and him will tighten up.
So I just have to read a quote in Entertainment Weekly talking about this last episode. It says Andrew Lincoln recently teased that the pace will definitely pick up when it returns, saying the remaining episodes are, quote, the boldest, bravest, and most exciting this show has ever attempted.
Yeah.
Now, he also said that about the Governor's.
I was going to say, we've heard that before.
Take it with a big old can of Morton's there.
Yeah, we've heard all of that stuff before. You got to take it with a grain of salt. That's right. Wait a minute. There was some other. There was some other good stuff in the news. I guess I didn't save the links. There was a Screen Rant did 5 directions The Walking Dead season 4 part 2 could go, and I thought that was pretty cool. You guys, I don't have to go through it all, but they talk about the return of Carol and some things that directions the show could go. It's actually where I got the idea for. They were the ones to suggest the Michonne and the baby. Yeah, so it's at Screen Rant. 5 directions to The Walking Dead season 4. I'll post it on the Facebook so people can read it, because it's time to wrap up.
All right. So we come to yet another episode of Biters. To find out more podcasts about TV shows, head over to southgatemediagroup.com and check out the different ones they have there for everything from Doctor Who to S.H.I.E.L.D. to, I don't know. They've got a bunch over there. Check them out over there. Leave us comments on Facebook. Like I said, for this hiatus, we're going to be talking about all things zombie and zombies in the news and stuff like that. So if you want us to check something out and talk about it, leave us a note. And by all means, rate us on iTunes.
And don't forget to check out Z-Girl and the Four Tigers, the comic book about a female zombie warrior that is written by Jeff and drawn by me, and that's at zgirl.org. And there's some good stuff going on there. We'd love for you to check out. And then also, I'm going to try to. I don't know if anybody noticed or saw the quick sketch I did in celebration of the season finale that I posted up at the Facebook page. But I'm going to try to do some Walking Dead related art and put it up during this interim period to kind of keep myself motivated.
It's
excited.
It's Kirk's version of working out.
That's right. That's right. Lift weights or draw pictures of zombies. That's tough decisions.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week or next couple weeks.
Yep. Oh, take care, everybody.